yourself? So, I'm a local resident, and if you ask my mum, she'll tell you that he's not really the president of the National Trust or anything like that. It's just good old Brian, and he's a naughty, naughty boy. And I guess I'm planning on being rather naughty going into the future in terms of managing a particular site and associated areas, because as we all know, the reason we're here today is that it comes into our own, I don't know how you describe it, our own definition of ourselves, our own understanding of who we are as individuals, and more importantly, what we stand for and what we believe in and what makes us a true community. It's easy to pass those words around, but community is important to everybody here, and I'm sure many others who would have joined us today, given that we had a little bit more notice to let people go. So can I thank you personally for being here, for showing your interest and giving your support to what I think is a very, very critical point in our general history as a city, and the way we need to travel forward as a city is going to be defined very much from what comes out of this gathering today. In terms of the National Trust, we support everything that's happening here on the ground today and going into the future. Unfortunately for the National Trust, this is typical. I would get 30 cases a week where communities write to us about similar situations. And when you analyse that, you find out that these sites are frequently on a heritage list. They're already supposedly protected in some sense by that legislation. They have very, very strong and vocal community support. It can't be said that, oh, had we known, we could have done something about it. The support here is local and it's very, very vocal. Of course, there's always another major development. They use that word major all the time, and that needs to be examined in this case, as already explained by Aidan in his introduction. But there's always some other reason, a better reason than heritage, to progress with the site. And then finally, and this is increasingly so, there seems to be always government involvement or government intervention, which makes it difficult in terms of process to get your voice heard, recognised and acted upon. And I know reference has already been made today as that there has been a lack of that political voice in this situation, and we need to get that activated. We need to make that loud and clear. So if we run through a couple of those things very quickly, and I don't want to take too much of your time, but the heritage listing, it's important that we understand that heritage listing isn't equal. The only place you're protected in law in terms of demolition and removal of sites is under state heritage listing. At the local level, that protection is not in the legislation, and so it's rather easy to make decisions and enact processes that allow demolition when they're only at the local level. And while there are reports that this is on the state heritage list, it is not. This building is only really covered by its local listing, or the local council's listing. So the protection for demolition of those processes is not there. The National Trust has a campaign at the moment asking that at all levels of its business, that the protection be equal across all of those levels. Not equal protection at the national or the World Heritage List against demolition. That's only protected at the state level. And so we're asking that once you're on one of those lists, wherever you are, then you get the full protection of the intent of that legislation. And we'll ask you to join us in that campaign as we move forward. It's very relevant in this situation. The other one is community support, and as I said, it's quite evident today, and I'm sure that petition has gone well over the 12,000 now in the space. I think it was three days, 36 hours or 72 hours, whatever, 12,000 signatures, 12,500 now, and that just shows that this community fully understands the threat that these buildings are under, and we need to make sure those voices are carried into the places where decisions are made. The whole thing with this is that you end up with a loss of trust in the legislation. You end up with a loss of trust in the processes, and it leads you to confusion. You really don't know as a community member who or what represents your view, how that is protected under law. And we lose faith, we lose confidence in the process. And that's a very, very dangerous thing in any community at all. So it's important that that all be restored and put back into the right proportions. Major developments, of course. The trust position is, if we've got legislation, if we've got heritage legislation in place, why don't we start from that position? Why do we say, oh, we've got another option here, another development, and it's got to have some economic grounding and it's got to have some commercial value, and we work through that, and then at the end we say, oh yes, and there's something to do with heritage, maybe it doesn't matter so much. So what we're asking is, why doesn't the argument, when any property is developed, start with the heritage position? How do you retain the heritage? How do you keep the heritage in place? And then add on or do whatever you might need to do. It's important that we start from that perspective. And I would be arguing that you support that view strongly. And finally, I'll just come to the government in itself. And I'm not a person who talks like this normally, because I have to be careful what I say. But it's been shameful. It's absolutely been shameful as to how this site and associated areas has been managed. We had to have an upper house inquiry. You people won't know personally how much energy that absorbed out of groups such as the National Trust and others who were behind the scenes driving that to happen. It took an enormous amount of energy. People often ask me, oh, what's the National Trust doing about it? And they sort of think I should be here with some sort of flag, waving it to say stop, stop. The National Trust also works at that very high level within or behind the scenes of government. And to bring that inquiry into place, and then to finally get a document that was said to be a business plan was an absolute disgrace. And it says something about us too, because we've allowed that to go on in a sense, and it's time that we said that's enough, no more of that. So I'm asking you, to keep that argument going forward and support those who are going to challenge that documentation. I'm sure there are some others today that will speak about it. Then finally, just I think you need to use the political process. Use the political process to your advantage. And by that, I mean, go to your local candidates, go to your local members, ask them the questions and make them put it on the record. Make sure that you're putting in the submissions when the submissions are due or when the ideas are called for. Get them in. Don't leave it to the National Trust. Get your own voice into the argument. And then finally, somebody mentioned it earlier, there are elections, and you need to know at this point where you think your priority should lie when that moment comes about. So I've spoken enough, I've been raving a little bit. What I can't do though is leave without a solution. It's no use standing here trying to criticise others or condemn others. And so the National Trust position at the moment in regards to Willow Grove would be that we believe that you should call for a moratorium on any action to demolish any heritage structure in this vicinity. And in doing that, you need to clarify various planning proposals. This is already included in a couple of other plans, and this other plan comes over the top and diminishes them. There's supposed to be a great civic walkway coming down through here to open up this land, and including the beautiful grounds that we're in now, the beautiful building in it, and that seems to be dismissed by this other suggestion or idea of the development of the site. Secondly, insist that at all times that the integration of the heritage of this site be included in any planning or any redevelopment of this site. This must remain in some form, in an honest form, going into the future. And then finally, establish a mechanism for community involvement and monitoring of the progress of what emanates following this meeting today. Make sure that you do get a tab onto it and that you can monitor it. So thank you for bearing with me. I encourage you. The Trust will be behind you in whatever way we can possibly do so. Thank you very much.